I work at a big box hardware store. You know the type. Concrete floors, fluorescent lights that hum just slightly too loud, aisles that stretch so far back they seem to disappear into shadow. I'd been picking up overnight shifts for extra cash. Just me, my coworker Dennis, and the building. The shift starts at 11 p.m. We clock in, grab our scanners, and begin walking the aisles, counting stock, checking shelves. It's mindless work, which is fine. Mindless means easy. The store is silent, except for the hum of the lights and the occasional beep of the scanner gun. At around 1:30 a.m., Dennis radios me from aisle 9, the power tools section. "Hey, did you let someone in?" I told him no. We're the only two people in the building. The doors are locked from inside. There was a pause. Then why are there wet footprints leading from the emergency exit toward the back offices? I walked over. He wasn't wrong. A trail of wet boot prints, large, deep, like someone heavy, leading from the side emergency door, down the corridor, and disappearing around the corner toward the manager's suite. The strange part? The emergency door has a chime. Neither of us had heard it. We called the manager. He said to check the cameras and sit tight. I pulled up the live feed on the back monitor. 12 camera views, all normal, but camera 7, the one pointing down the main center aisle, showed something I couldn't explain. Halfway down the aisle, just standing there, was a figure, tall, not moving, facing the camera directly. I looked up from the monitor and walked to the edge of the center aisle to check it with my own eyes. The aisle was empty. I went back to the monitor. The figure was gone. I and Dennis stayed together for the rest of the shift. We told ourselves it was a camera glitch. We told ourselves the footprints were from earlier. We told ourselves a lot of things. At 6 a.m., when the morning manager unlocked the front door to open up, he stopped cold. He turned to us and asked who had been in the break room. There were 2 coffee mugs on the table, still warm. We had never gone into the break room that night. There had been 3 mugs used. I was a TSA security officer at a mid-size regional airport. 3rd shift, midnight to 8 a.m. Most nights, the place is practically a ghost town. The last flights land around 11, the building empties out, and it's just us and the cleaning crew until the 5 a.m. departures start boarding. I don't scare easy. I was in the military before this job, did 2 overseas deployments. But what happened on a Tuesday morning in February still bothers me more than anything I saw overseas, because at least over there, the things that scared me made sense. At 2:17 a.m., our radio system alerted us to motion detected in Concourse B. That concourse was closed for renovations, fully sealed off with temporary walls, locked access doors. No one was supposed to be in there. Me and Officer Reyes went to check. The access door was locked and undisturbed. We used the master key and stepped through. The concourse smelled stale. Plastic sheeting hung from the ceiling. The construction equipment sat silent in the dark. We swept the entire length of it with our flashlights. Nothing. We got to gate 11 at the end of the terminal. Empty gate, covered chairs, dark jetway. Then Reyes stopped walking. He was pointing his flashlight at the door to the jetway. It has a small rectangular window, and standing on the other side of that glass, pressed close enough to fog it, was a face. I grabbed my radio. Reyes reached for the door handle. I told him not to open it. The jetway connects to nothing. The renovation had physically disconnected it from any aircraft access. There is no way in or out of that jetway except the door we were standing in front of, and it had been locked. We could see the lock was engaged from our side. We stared. The face didn't move. I radioed for backup and told Reyes again, "Do not open that door." Backup arrived 4 minutes later. 3 of us approached the window. We shone a light directly at it. There was no one there. Just the empty jetway, scaffolding, and darkness. We checked the motion log afterward. The sensor had triggered 40 times in the past 6 weeks, always gate 11, always between 2 and 3 a.m., always during renovation hours when no one should have been in that concourse. The renovation company swore none of their workers came in at night. Gate 11 is open again now. They finished the renovation 2 months ago. Sometimes on slow overnight shifts, I'll walk up there and look through that window into the jetway. I always make sure the lock is engaged before I walk away. I worked the overnight dispatch desk for a county non-emergency police line. Not 911, the other number. The one people call to report noise complaints, file non-urgent reports, ask questions. It's not a glamorous job, mostly drunk neighbors and lost dogs, but there's one call I can't stop thinking about. It came in at 3:44 a.m. on a Wednesday. Non-emergency, this is dispatch, how can I help you? Silence. Not dead silence. I could hear something. Breathing. Slow and steady. I repeated myself, asked if the caller was okay. Then a voice said, very quietly, "There's someone standing outside my window." I asked for the address. No response. I asked again. "They've been there for an hour. They're not moving. They're just looking in." I asked if they were safe, if the doors were locked. I started trying to trace the call. It was coming from a landline, which at least gave me something to work with. The caller said, "I didn't want to call 911 because I didn't want to make noise. I don't want them to know I'm awake." That detail, the specific fear of making noise, made my skin go cold. I kept them on the line, stayed calm, dispatched a unit quietly to the address I'd pulled from the trace. Then the caller said something that stopped me completely. "Wait, they're not outside anymore." I asked what they meant. I asked where the person went. Long pause. "I don't know. I can't see them through the window anymore." I told them to stay in the room, keep the door locked, do not open anything. The unit was 3 minutes out. Then the line went quiet. Not hung up. The call was still active. I could still hear the faint sound of the caller's breathing. But there was a second sound now, layered underneath it, closer to the phone. Like breathing, but not the caller's breathing. Slower, deeper. The unit arrived in 2 minutes. They found the front door standing open. The caller was safe. They had locked themselves in the bathroom when they heard a noise in the hallway. The officers cleared the house. Nothing was found. No sign of forced entry, no footprints outside the window. We couldn't explain the open front door. The caller insisted it had been locked all night. And I couldn't explain the second sound on the line, the one that was breathing so close to the phone, the one that didn't belong to anyone we could account for. I still work that desk. I still answer calls at 3 a.m. I just make sure every single night that my own doors are locked before my shift begins.